Okay. Oh, hold on. Okay, let's get this started. Okay. Hello and welcome to the Loretta Nash Show, Laura's blog. Of course, I'm Loretta Nash, and today's topic is going to be which did you like working better for? Yeah. I've had a lot of jobs in these since 1988 all the way up to here. Um, a lot of jobs. Which did I like better? Well, they all basically were exactly the same. Work a little bit and then leave them. Pretty much work a little bit and leave them. Yeah, the little bit is 8 years. If you think about it, that's 8 years. But what I'm really talking about in this is Hardee's and Burger King, or Star Hardee's and Burger King. No officiation. These are just the names that the actually places I worked besides the Pizza Hut thing. But that was in another episode about the Pizza Hut. So of course during the summer, uh you know 89 was Pizza Hut, 90 was Burger King, 91 I worked on a farm, um doing the old thing that my mom and dad used to do, chop cotton. It was the only job, basically, pretty much, it was the only job that I could get that summer in 91, because, I don't know why, but I tried up here for the flash market. Uh, yeah, and I didn't even live in town, and, Dad would take me up to, where would he take me? I forgot where he would take me, and I would, bicycle the whole town. And of course, we still live 15 miles away from from West Memphis. Um, so this episode is talking the the contemplating between the Burger King and the Star Hardee's. You got to think again. This was the 90s when I worked them. Burger King. Besides the 89, wait, yeah, besides 90, the summer of 90, making biscuits, it was for 2 months. I went back in 92, 92 to 1996. So 4 years. And, I started out as the baker, the biscuit cook, and then I worked my way to prep, and then I worked my way to the line, and then we had to light we had one of the really really old ones, broiler. You're supposed to be able to push a button, and it's supposed to light the broiler, and all the flames were supposed to come up on it. That one didn't. We had to. We did still have to push the button, but it wouldn't ignite. So we would have to take a piece of paper, twist it up where it's really, really long, light it, and then push the button, and would have to manual light the broiler. That's the one. They got a different one now. I haven't been there to go, but I think the new store, the store I worked at, it got pretty much burnt down in the 2000s, I think. All I know is it caught on fire, so it's a totally new, brand new stuff. It's got two windows, when I was working there, it was supposed to be getting two windows, but it didn't. And the building itself was so old that it was the one of the very first Burger Kings. We actually had, you know how some of these places that you go to now that they got like a little bitty seating area. This one didn't. It had a big sitting area, and then it had like a bunch of more. About no, actually, I'm thinking about the McDonald's up here on Missouri Street. No, it wasn't like that, and it really wasn't like the one over here on King, but it was set up like a regular restaurant. I mean, it had more benches in there. So, of course, we had to clean that. And then the Star Hardee's that I worked at was in Marion, is now on Tops Barbecue. Um, I had to work both places. Uh, Star Hardee's, same thing. Start off biscuit cook, worked so good. Got that down, went into uh, cook for the regular, and then prep. Yeah, still did prep. And then working over the day, up in lunch. And, that's what I did on most of them, was work all the way up to lunch. And then occasionally I would work over, since I was really good working, they would, you know, and since I know most of everything, I would get to go to different, I wouldn't have to be stuck getting up at, being at work at 5 o'clock in the morning. So, at both jobs, I really didn't have to be there at like 5 o'clock in the morning, pretty much. Okay, Burger King. I worked really, really hard those 4 years. I did the best that I can. You know, worked the biscuits for a while, then the broiler, then the no the prep, then the broiler. Prep. Uh, I know I confused my daughter when I said prep. We had to put the lettuce in the containers. We had to cut the tomatoes with the tomato witch. It's a slicer that you really have to watch your fingers. You put the tomato in it and you shove it through and it slices them up. Slices them the tomatoes. I had to cut the onions. Uh, we actually would get bags of onions, fresh onions, and I would have to cut the ends off, cut the middle, and then with them I had to go the slicer and chop up the onions that way. That's what I had to do. It, uh, of course, besides doing the dishes and cleaning up and making sure everything's prepped for lunch. I had to get that done by what, most of the prep, at least get it done by 9:30, or at least by 10. When I had to do it for Burger King. I mean, sometimes I would have to do both places. I'd have to still make the biscuits. Since we didn't have the frozen ones, so I had a hand make, roll out, chop, cut, put on the oven and bake, and that's why they always had fresh biscuits. I did it at both places. My sister got me the job at Hardee's. I didn't want to go back to it, but I really didn't want my sister to help. But she was the more outgoing person, and I wasn't. I mean, she worked just about everywhere. She worked at the Flash Market. A couple of times. She worked at Walmart a couple of times. She worked at Big Star. I mean, she was a very outgoing person, and she stayed at the one store until she lost something. And then she, she was so stressed out, and I guess that's why her heart attack. But okay. Anyway, so I worked at excuse me. So I worked at Star Hardy's from 97 until 2000. The reason why I did that is I'm a 30-year-old, or I was about to be a 30-year-old, and I was stuck at working at this job and not getting credit for it. And I by then when I got to Hardee's, I already went through the management training and everything, and all that. I was actually shift leader. I mean, I was in charge of the store, and it was maybe 3 or 4, maybe 4 or 5 times that they pretty much I was the store. Period. I mean, early morning, get there early. I think that's just when they were going overnight too. Go and I'll be the breakfast cook. Well, they did close for a couple hours. I'd be the make the biscuits, and I had to be in that uniform and make the biscuits, and then I had to do the lunch, and I mean do the breakfast, cook, make sure all the gravy and the sausage and all that stuff, all the prepping for the breakfast was done. Then I had to count the door, and then I had to do drive through, then I had to do front counter, and I only had one other person with me that day, and he didn't come in until after what 2 hours. But I was basically pretty much by myself for that. For 2 hours, I was by myself, and I had to do all the places. I mean, I had to count the drawers, make sure that the safe was right. I had to count my register drawers. Then I had to go make the biscuits, and I had to make sure I got some biscuits cooked. I had to make sure the gravy was fixed. I had to make sure the bacon was prepped. I had to make sure the eggs were done. I mean, I had to do all that within an hour at Hardee's, and I was getting close to 30, and I really got tired of it. I mean, I've been doing it. I was doing it since 92 at the other store. I mean, at Burger King. I mean, they at least at Burger King they had me just doing one section at a time until I got the hang of it. They didn't just, uh, but I guess whenever you get into management, back then when you got up into management, you pretty much have to run the store pretty much by yourself, which I didn't mind because when I was going through the management training at Burger King, I mean, watched all the videos, passed the test, you know, make sure everything's caught up. The what we had to throw away, we count as loss and all this. I mean, did it anyway at Burger King, but I got overlooked for the job because somebody else had the experience, and I would been, well, it was complicated for that. So at Hardee's, I just didn't want to do it anymore because I was about to be 30. She just talked me into working. I already worked all night. Then I already worked most of the breakfast, and then she wanted me to go ahead and work lunch, and I was supposed to be back at 2 o'clock. I mean, I just got there. Um, I just got there at 2 o'clock, and I got there at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon on the previous day. Well, worked overnight, and then I had to do breakfast, and then it was about 11 something, so I was supposed to go ahead and go home and rest and everything. Now she wanted me to work. from breakfast, lunch, the lunch rush, and then I was supposed to be back again by 2 o'clock anyway. I didn't want to do that. I mean, that would have been 24 hours straight with no rest, and I didn't want to do that. And it it was some problems at each of the jobs, but other than that, it wasn't that bad. I mean, it was income coming in, but it wore you out whenever it seems like there's so many with so much shorthanded a lot at that. It was so shorthanded. I mean, every job was shorthanded, and of course, you know, being the strong person that I am, I went ahead and took the responsibility and would do it. I mean, we had at Hardee's, we had a certain amount that we kept in the drawer. Okay, did that. Well, didn't know that this guy was the regional manager. He come in and talking, and the phone's ringing off the hook, and I'm pretty much tired. This is probably the same day that I went up and just left them. I mean, the guy come and I jokingly, I thought I don't know which is jokes or not because I take a lot of things too literally. I mean, I don't know if it's the mental health thing or living with family members that have the mental health thing, but you cannot be joke around much because you take things way too literally. I mean, really, a lot of things too literally. I mean, you got to think. I didn't go anywhere, didn't do anything, and this is like I'm 22, 22 up to 30. I mean, all I really do is just work. That's basically all I did. That time was just did nothing but work, and I had responsibilities. I was living with my parents, still living with my parents until my sister decided she wanted to move out, and then when she moved out, I moved in with her, and then responsibilities with, you know, living with her. I had responsibilities. She had responsibilities. We were supposed to be sharing the responsibilities, but it seemed like somehow, some way, it turned out that I was responsible for more than she was. I mean, we even went in for a house together, and she just got, you know, upset with me, thinking I wasn't pulling my weight with that, and I was thinking, I was pulling way too much because I would come home and I would have food and put the food in the refrigerator and have it set so I can fix food for folks to eat and stuff for them to have something to eat without going and paying going out to eat all the time, and that didn't work out. That I had would always be gone, and by the time I would get around to eating it, it'd be gone. Uh, that that was not really. And then marrying, getting married, and everything was, well. I'll talk about the marriage here in a little bit. Um, I so it is about time for the breaking up. Yeah, and I'll talk about what it was like for being married to a disabled person, and talk about those almost 19, 20 years here in a little bit. So I'm trying something different, and yeah, would have been 20 years this year. in April. But okay, so it's time for this little break, and I'll be back, and we'll talk about. Sorry about that. Uh, hold on. Okay. This thing, I don't understand it. It always looks like it goes backwards. Okay. So, okay, I didn't say, or I didn't tell y'all which I like better, the working for the Star Hardys or working for the Burger King. Um, they were basically the same thing. I mean, Burger King, I worked so hard to get up to I wanted to be or worked so hard to be a, a manager or be prepared to have a manager job, but I got turned down from it. And then I said, okay. And then on top of that, I had a manager or the girl that was taking the manager course with me. She got promoted first, and they really got her promoted her because they really want her to go to the other one, but that didn't work out. But and then at Hardee's, I did got to be a shift leader. It's just that I guess well they were about to close down anyway. They knew it. They didn't tell me, but the store was about to close down anyway because the I don't know, some corporate thing happened, so they were about to close down anyway, and they were just trying to save where they can. That's the same thing that happened over here at the portrait studio at the last time, they whenever they're trying to, save it before they close down, they tried to slash a lot of stuff. Um, that's what's going on right now. That I'm kind of worried about my brother. He works over here at the Family Dollar here at the lower area. He works at the Family Dollar. They're just closing the one out east. And then I think the one up here on the interstate is closed down. Going to close down, so he's going to be out of a job. Um, the main reason you've heard about the big spectacle that was going on here a few months ago. Ow, about them finding problems with the Family Dollar warehouse. So that's pretty much what's happening, and that's what I'm worried about my brother. Okay, what I was going to, so I didn't never tell you. I mean, focus. Didn't tell you which is better. They were basically the same, except uh, one I had to grow had a regular grill. Excuse me. What it was like being married. Okay, sorry about that. It was a spam call. And yeah, I have the Wonder Woman out song on here. Okay. Uh, they were both the same, pretty much the same. Maybe I like the Hardys better because at least I got into management. Uh, maybe, but it's no guarantee. Not really. Okay. The next topic that we're gonna do, was gonna talk about being married. Okay. Well, it was it was I liked it. Number one thing, I didn't have to be around my parents as much, or my little brother, or my brothers, or my sisters, because I pretty much had my husband. It was supposed to be me and my husband, and he had baggage coming into the marriage. I had baggage. He had baggage. He lived in an apartment, and so we, scared apparently I scared our landlord whenever I got all my stuff and out out of where I was living with Robert to go and live with my husband. We pretty much eloped. Um, we picked a day. We went to the courthouse, did the stuff at the courthouse, and then we come over here to the church and we got uh had you know did it with his mom and my parents and everybody. Um, the only person that didn't get to come was his his biological dad, uh, or the stepdad didn't go either. But and of course, Papa Billy was upset because he didn't get to come. But he wasn't around. Uh, when my dad was, I'm not. I mean, when my husband was, I don't know how long, how old he was, but him and Nita got a divorced, and he wasn't around Billy for a long time there, and he was like 30 and was getting ready to get well, he made him was 20 something when he started getting back together with start being with his dad. But anyway, we met at his grandma's house. I may have said it before. His or the guy, his step grandpa was my mama's cousin. My mama and dad, they have been married for 50 something years right now. Uh, Papa Billy and uh, Nita were married only a little bit, I guess, when my husband was born, and they found out all his issues that he had with his disability, his cerebral palsy, and his speech impediment. I, uh, you know, I guess Papa Billy just left, and they never really. It's just something that they had, but you know, they had a short marriage, but my parents, have been together forever. Um, of course, this was right after the towers went down in 2001. He started uh basically started dating me, but I've met him in 77, 77, 78. You know, off and on. Visit him. He was my a church friend of my brother's. Um, he was a church friend. His we would visit when we go and visit. Off and on, off and on. Well, I'm working, doing the best I can. Kind of always liked them anyway. Uh, I liked them anyway, so. And then he decided to say, "Okay, let's go ahead and go. Let's go ahead and date." So we did. He took me out to a church where he preached that day, and then every time that he would have a preach, have a time that he would go preaching, I would, see if I could be off that day, even though I was working at a job that was just about 24/7. I mean, really 24/7. That was when I was doing the photography. I was only doing it here in town and everything. And so, our birthdays came. Then when it got springtime, um, I don't know why we picked April the 10th. April 10th is, pretty close to the 15th, the taxes. I guess we did that on purpose. But it would have been 20 years this year, 2022, if he stuck around. So we married. Um, we were going to, we still met his grandma, and we lived in the apartments and everything. We did the normal married thing. Moved from one apartment to the lower apartment, not because I couldn't get up and down the stairs, but I did have problems then getting up and down the stairs. But he decided to move downstairs, so we moved downstairs. And then we got a dog, and then we got a cat. I mean, we got a dog. I felt, the dog, someone was giving away puppies at Walmart, and someone didn't want that one puppy because he had looked like he had a blind eye, and that's why they didn't want him. And he was a Labrador, and pretty hyper, and we got him, and he was fun. And then we traded him, gave him to his dad, and got the cat, the little black cat that was mean that nobody liked. And then of course I got pregnant at 35. Didn't have her until a few days after I was 36. He was 33. Yeah, Billy just turned 33, and life was okay for you know him having a disability. He couldn't work. Uh, he couldn't be like a salesperson or anything, body was speaking. So he would mainly be doing maintenance work, mainly just plunging toilets, cleaning up bathrooms, and stuff like that. He got frustrated at that because that's all he felt. That's all he was. He felt bad because he couldn't do anything else, and no one would hire him for anything else except for being a janitor, and he did not like being the janitor. I mean, he tried to study to do this, and he already had his a license to be a layman for church, and he gave that up, and because we got married and life was having, and I'm working 24/7, and he works overnight, uh and then when the baby came, everything seemed to switch. He couldn't go into the hospital room. uh they were gonna they scheduled my C-section on the 18th, but they didn't do it until the 20th. And then they gave me the stuff, and I passed out, and I didn't realize how bad of uh my apnea was, and it just passed me out, and I couldn't breathe, and he couldn't go in there and see them take my daughter out. I heard her cry. I didn't, I had to, try to relax, not fight while they're using this pump to m- help me breathe. And then we got to see the baby. Both of us got to see the baby, and then of course we raised her. His grandma got really bad sick. I mean, before and '05, we tried to live with her, but her dementia was so bad. Her dementia was so bad. I mean, I worked all day, and I come home, and it's like 11 o'clock, and she's not used to people coming home at like 11 o'clock at night. I mean, pretty much that's what I had to do because I had to drive all the way down to way down to Grenada, or just come from Oxford, Mississippi, Grenada, Mississippi, Oxford, Mississippi. And it's like 10 o'clock, and she just chewed me out and he had to lie to her we couldn't live with her anymore. And we was with her like for what, a couple of months? Yeah. And then I tried to help her. Her dementia was so bad, and then she was physically getting where she wouldn't be able to, take her shower by her standing up. So I had to do a lot of stuff with her, and then didn't even realize that I was pregnant then. No, I really didn't know. And then on top of that, a few like after we had to get my mouth straight. We went into moved from her house to an apartment. Moved back into an apartment. He lied to her and said that we had to move into the apartments because it was part of my job. And he really didn't want to confuse her, even though she was already getting confused anyway. And then of course the aunts came down. The great aunts came down and they lived with her and helped her out into that big museum type house. I'm going to flat out say that's what it was, because it was like a museum. Because it was, to me, it was a museum because we couldn't touch anything. Well, of course, the pandemic, you know, we had a bad time. He wanted to go to a school, and I went ahead and let him go, and he got in trouble over there, because I guess he had a little split of what his dad had. His dad, complicated stuff, had, and so he was away from me and here and everything, and he just thought everything was new over there over at this place. He became a regional assistant. I mean, he pretty much did everything he could. Then I had to go back living with my parents for a couple three that was 3 years there. And he was supposed to go to school to try to get a better job. That's what he was supposed to do, you know, or get a trade other than maintenance work, because that's what he wanted to do. And then, of course, this pandemic hit, and everything got locked down, and he couldn't go anywhere, and apparently he was already drinking anyway. Didn't know, but he was drinking a lot anyway. So it was it was interesting for 19 years of living with a person with a disability, even though I known him ever since I was 7, 8, and he was uh 3, 4. Is that right? 4, 5. Yeah. So anyway, I know that kind of got a little depressed there for a second. And of course, he just died here in 2021. After our 19th anniversary, even though he was bedridden and that, he did say happy anniversary. He couldn't really get up out of bed, and said happy anniversary to him, and our daughter said happy anniversary to us, and we didn't have cake or anything special that day anyway. Just pretty much, let him, do what he needed to do. Um, he, whenever everything got kind of stressed out, I guess that's probably when he was drinking. When he would go out to the laundry room, and that's why the dryer got, the heating element burned up in the dryer, is because he was out there drinking. Because it's still got some, I need to go and clean that out. Because it's still got some cans and stuff there. But you'll see more Dr. Pepper cans and Diet Dr. Pepper cans and stuff like that. But, that's what he had mixed with it. Okay, so my time is up. And you'll have to wait until my next episode to hear anything or me to try to figure out what I want to talk about. Be sure to subscribe and donate. And if you want to, you can check out my artwork on Lorgh, Lorgh .blog, blog, for what new artworks that I have done. I hadn't done anything so far today. You can purchase the originals, or you can purchase products from a third party that has my works on them, like pillowcases, shams, um, stickers. Uh, those you can get at Fine Arts America, Pixels, and Azazel. There's one thing I just sold a couple of things. I sold ornaments, all kinds of stuff on those websites. Or you can just Google my name, Loretta Nash, and they should pop up. To buy originals, you can contact me, or I hadn't put anything on eBay yet. I need to start doing that. But just enjoy yourself, and I'll see you in the next part or the next episode. Later.